irresistible urge to clap during this performance, please do it silent. You have said, drown all sounds in my silence, so that you may hear my word of words. Yet you demand fresh songs to bind me in your net of contradictory chords. But it wouldn't be you if you did not require opposite things at the same time, such as a dissonant harmony and a melody of correct rhyme. You are the master musician and the great ancient silence. What a strange accord. The universe is your chorale, swinging about the axis of your silent word. Really, you created the universe to provide me with a journey, after which done, I would meet you, beloved. But before creation was, we were already one. A journey into nothingness along the star-studded loop of space, a voyage into separation to arrive at your dwelling place. Sweet nothingness that taught me your everythingness, sweet song of the stars that taught me how to imprison silence behind musical bars. So, to a small degree, I have obeyed your order to be silent and sing. But only by wine have I been able to accomplish this impossible thing.
Francis says of himself and his work in the preface to Stay with God, in the years of trying to absorb the truths of truth and beauty, I have been as a pygmy wandering among giants, trying to pick up the elements of their speech. And in the writing of this book, I have been supported and encouraged only by the smile of the King of Giants and the faith of a few friends. What I have written may be of some value to others, but if not, not. That is their affair. Mine was in the writing and in the continuance of that course which I once set, but which is now in the hands of my beauty and truth may abide.
I am true, I am love, and to you I say, I will keep your hearts till the break of day. Will you love me true? Will you love always? For I've loved you since the first morning. Will you follow me? I'm not repine. Will you drink my cup for old lang syne? Be it vinegar or the sweetest wine. For I've cherished you since the first morning. That morning when I woke and started to sing, and put the universe on my finger as a ring, and I sent you forth as the buds of spring, on that first and most glorious morning. And you went with a shout, and you went with a cheer, but my heart was torn because you were so dear, and I knew it would be a good billion years before there even dawned your own morning. day is here and the dawn has spread across the white sky, the rose that bled from your heart, and there's no more trail to tread, only singing in me in this morning, only singing in me in this morning.
In a preface to a later work, The Word at World's End, Francis wrote, "I have infinitely crafted my ideas before beginning to write, and in my best work, the idea forged its own form of expression. In Stay with God, the opening line came to me 12 years before I wrote that book, and it was not an odd line, jotted down and forgotten. I carried it with me, noting its possibilities and acquiring the material it would need."
Wings toward the glaciers of Kailash, where the first fathers nourished the seed of God, and Shiva gentled Ganga, and Parvati walked by streams of living heart.
Mayor Baba had Stay with God read to him 3 times, stating that it gave life to his own book, God Speaks. Baba also said of Stay with God, "My love will touch the hearts of all who read this, as no book has ever done."
Stay with God was published in 1959, the year after Baba visited and named Avatar's Abode in Queensland, Australia, and also Francis's first year with Baba at Marizad. This is Francis's dedication.
To Meher Baba, my Lord and friend of the worlds, here is the book on the theme you set me, and which I took into my heart and pondered to the end, that your dear name be known to men, and send perhaps one to your feet. Look indulgently on it, or else forsaken am I. Yet, Lord, correct my wit and mend my heart in love, for love is my story. And in this book have I laboured to tell something of your most marvellous labour. When of myself I wrote, naught of your savour was in it. But when I wrote of love, I wrote well, even showing forth some fraction of your glory.
Once I thought that I could sing through this throat, but he made me an instrument to play his note, and all other songs simply left my head. This song river dried up and left an empty bed, silently singing in every heart. Oh, beloved, you play each and every part. Every throat is a note, and music is your divine art.
Wings towards the glaciers of Kailash, where the first fathers nourished the seed of God, and Shiva gentled Ganga, and Parvati walked by streams of living heart. For Shiva was Jesus before him, as was Abraham, and Zarathustra, and Buddha, and Mohammed, and their loveliness, God's avatar, as is now Baba. Sing, Baba, your descent this time on earth, your brightness in our night, your comfort in our separation.
He is nothing and he is everything. He is nothing and he is everything. He is Avatar. He is Avatar. He is nothing and he is everything. He is nothing and he is everything. He is Avatar. He is Avatar.
We have been brought up on a story, the wholeness of which is perfect, but which in its telling only half was told, of the lamb being killed, the other half in which the lion rose with a roar which shook the whole earth, has been left unsaid.
He suffered the slaughter of his lambness and slept for 3 days in his cave on the mountainside, then joined his Father, ruler of wide heaven in judgment on us, for ours is the sin.
An opiate teaching for an indolent people. Brought up on half a doctrine, we have been music on instruments without completion of lovely speech of song. The lesser half, for music is in all nature, but speech is alone of man. And God's sacrifice in each of his avatars is felt by all things in the earth, even stones and trees. But his glory is understood by men, and men, by leave of the saints, can tread a path to it, and by the grace of perfect masters, attain it. Bright jewel, your greatness is in your humiliation. Your sun glory is in your moon gentleness. From your suffering is born all singing. A ray, beloved, from the jewel of your pain, an arrow ray, a sudden rifle ray in this density called heart. That my soul, enwrapped in a shadow coat of your glory, may sing you and continue to unfold the story of your love.
Awake and sing, all you that float on the ocean of illusion, for the beloved is here, and in him there is no exclusion. Make your hearts giant guitars chord sounding, skulls of their brains, wash them out clean and keep them ready as wine bowls. Who knows, the beloved's whim may have our names inscribed on the wine shop's honour rolls. Awake and come up from the waters of illusion's sad sea, on to the beach, to the wine shop's threshold, with dance and sweet melody. The beloved has millions of ears and eyes, and not a note or step will be lost. And I tell you that his greatest attribute, unwritten yet, is a divine host. But if it is not his pleasure to play host to us this time, what of it? We'll go on singing. We'll go on singing. Maybe to compose a best of the Advent song hit. Francis, tell them your secret. The beloved cannot resist good singing for long. That's been his weakness ever since he sang the world into being with a song. That's been his weakness ever since he sang the world into being, world into being, world into being, with a song.
Brought up on brought up on a half doctrine we have been, music on instruments without completion of lovely speech of song. The lesser half, for music is in all nature, but speech is alone of man. And God's sacrifice in each of his avatars is felt by all things in the earth, even stones and trees. But his glory is understood by men, and men by leave of the saints can tread the path to it, and by the grace of perfect masters attain it.
People are man, and man is people. Their bones are the structure of the universe. Their tongues are the harps of the stars. Their hearts are nets which can capture God.
Back in Australia, the most east of the west, John Kerry continued the exile he had begun so and so millions of lives ago through his own act of waking up and wanting to know exactly who he was. A musical question which turned out to be a fugal proposition of infinite possible development.
We set out in the long ago, in the dawn of creation.
The dawn of creation.
We set out singing in a sort of a nude jubilation. We had every reason to rejoice, for we had just left your presence.
Just left your presence.
Beloved, we had no idea there'd be a billion years' absence. A conducted tour of space with the stars as our guides, we thought.
The stars as our guides, we thought.
Oh God, no excursion ticket was ever so dearly bought. Presently, Earth loomed before us with a notice board. Your trip ends here.
Your trip ends here.
And the angel part of us fled. And the man part stayed rooted in fear. But we knew that we would have to take up the load of birth.
The load of birth.
We were children no longer, but men to inhabit earth. And soon, it now seems, this is special, and soon, it now seems, you, beloved, came swinging down the road, calling your bright call.
Your bright call.
The lover is only his own imagination. The beloved is all in all. Once we were children, singing anthems and praises before the throne of the Lord.
Before the throne of the Lord.
Now we are the Love Street singers, filling in time, awaiting your lovely word.
Awaiting your lovely word.
Only a deep cloud of a man can rain rains over parched earth. My gods are diminishing. Since you are a jealous God, one lovely in vanity of alone selfness, let the mill of you grind this to flour for the hungry of you. Or let their hunger grow into a crop of hunger, so that they will the more seek you, and cast this as dust to the wind. Or when the grinding is done, either to flour or dust, give me a word, a lovely singing word in my mouth, some honey word, some wine word to utter in singing, not for many, but for thou in my ear to delight in, so that my ear may aid mine eyes to fix themselves only on your dear form, a singingness of the word, the lovely word of your name, thou, beloved one, you.
Sing, oh sing, Mayhair's hey. Ring our bells, his thunder's vain. He is God and he is man. At his nod the world began. He is truth and all beauty. He is true infinity.
You are the great undoer, so that what shall be done, the remover who brings forward, the stupefier who makes intelligent, the wind that levels the young wheat, that the stalks may grow strong in the sun, while you, during the days of its growing, attend to other else, and wet with your eyes the scythe of its reaping. Thou, lovely one, thou faithless one of all faith.
God is all merciful, but don't expect from him kindness according to your own mind's cut and trim. If he had entirely tempered the wind to the shorn sheep, we would never have become men that stayed in stone asleep. Mighty the buffetings from God before self in stone burst from its prison to become moss and tree and suffer thirst. If we had not tramped the plains with burning feet, we would not have found the beloved's house in Love Street. If we had not known the curling wave and the taste of brine, we would not have developed a palate for vintage wine. The beloved is all merciful and compassionate, ever concerned about our rival, a true self-state. He drove us up out of stone dwelling, out of leaf, out of sheep. If he had tempered the wind entirely, we would still be asleep.
Thus was John Kerry complaining and praising. For complaint is praise, inasmuch as complaint is attachment. And praise is complaint, because praise is separation. And he was recognizing that this was the beginning of those subtractions, the sum total of which would be the subtraction of him from himself. When the 5 sheets are subtracted, Atman alone remains. Shivoham, Shivoham. I am existence, knowledge, bliss. Cease, cease. Swallow thy breath every moment.
I dwell in dust and sing, and my song is most sweet. For although I lie prostrate, I do not entreat. I would not wish to be less than the seasons which wait their turn, nor than fire hidden in wood to burst into life and burn.
Once God slept and awoke, and journeyed in immense journeying through stone and metal and green of earth and worm and fish and bird and animal, and assumed man shape. And as man loved his loves and suffered his loves and died to his loves and was born to them again and again, repeating each time the folly of I and you, yours and mine, linking securely the links of this evil chain. A man, sunlight of eyes and pastures of sweet lips, dark night and the cruel wave curling beneath. The road, himself the road, love and the grace of the Master.
My beloved spins the earth on the tip of one finger. Why should I cry out for gifts? He will not forget his singer.
Dropped last roll state, called heaven and hell, pleasure and suffering intensified through lack of dampening flesh. Hell is hot or hot and cold, according to heat of desires and coldness of love. But world himself is fire which ever heats the crucible of forms in which is melted the impressions of flesh and bone and brain, back to their origins of earth. Fire which after the clay is moulded again as bricks for heart's next desire, bakes them to harden bricks for soul's next enterprise. Himself, brickmaker, fire, house builder and householder.
They who ask God to fulfill their desires have no faith in him, for the essence of faith is to abide the beloved's whim.
Never coming to terms with it, never for long, undividedly enjoying residence in earth and form's promises, never holding beyond the duration of the glass wine's taste, beyond the duration of the kiss, forgetfulness.
I hold out my cup for him to fill at his pleasure. Now or at world's end, it will be the same full measure.
Beyond the night, release, moon of beauty, and then harsh sun of day, and baked or frozen lands or narrow streets and fears. Resident in earth, house building, bridge building, to beyond earth's boundaries, and the unseen bridge, and reviewing unskillfully experience of earth's residence, good against bad, bad against good, equipoise, engrossment and falling to birth, to experience that engrossment, till he meets the blissful, compassionate Master and takes his stand in the flood, in the currents of himself, and says in himself, enough has been far too much. and willingly and reverently and with joy, high-hoped, bows before that one of wisdom and light.
Waiting is easy for me. I spent 1,000,000 years as a stone, and then millions more, shaping my ears to receive song's golden tone. Now my waiting is praising, and my praising is sweet. For although I lie prostrate, I do not entreat.
And he, the Great One, says, "Fear not, my child, my lover. There is a way through the sea of appearance in which you are swirled, a method of stopping the whirling wheel of rebirth, a means whereby the foundations of your present house may be shattered and no more built. For every knot tied there is an untying, for every pain a remedy, for every ignorance a replacement with knowledge. Ancient is this knowledge, so ancient that God on his first arrival back into himself, after his same journey you're making, knew it and brought it down to earth as first avatar. So ancient, yet ever wondrously new."
People build cities and monuments of music and poetry and stone, to tame the nomad in them, to celebrate their eternal journeying.
The blissful, compassionate master sings to him the song of wayfaring, the adult occupation, melting his heart with its sweetness and inspiring his soul with its possibility. Then gives to him the precious word to be his sword to cut through the hosts of himself, the hosts of vast exile, nourished by the moon and bright foamed sea, and stars of eyes, and horizons of brow, and wells of sweet lips, and sun, clear or in murky sky, and hammered streets. A sword to slay the great beasts of far past, to cut himself free from entrancement on the dazzling plains, and go on, back to the master. He to cut the last veil between him and himself.
People were the reason for the creation. There will be no end ever to people. Wars and earthquakes and tidal waves will wipe out cities and waste the farmlands. The earth will creep down, shearing off civilizations, but people will come up again. The earth will grow cold, but it will be replaced by another. For there will always be a place for people, a place on which to stand and sing.
Thus, the sun-beaten wave roll, the breaking of dream joys and dream pains, and the eyes washed or sealed with a new pain, the one adored melting into one's outline of desiring, or hardening into bitter pain, until we of ourselves melt into the eyes and love of the perfect master.
The clearing of the ground for the sowing, for the entry, is the unlearning of learning. For learning is your rubbish heap of conceit. For this, in the first place, Prometheus Agni brought down the heavenly fire by order of the perfect master.
But some mind impressions do not burn, and for these Shiva brought down the waters of the Ganges to drown them, to create on earth a reservoir of tears for lovers, rivers divine ocean bearing according to the will of the perfect master.
And some neither burn nor drown, but must be strangled to death. Hence it is said, swallow thy breath every moment. But this is not possible unless by the gift of divine love one is strangled for sight of him, the gift of the perfect master.
And so it is said, one moment in the company of a saint is worth 100 years of penance and prayer. And as Baba pointed out, Jalaluddin was talking only about saints. How much more magnified when related to the being of God in the person of the perfect master.
It is better to read than gossip. It is better to meditate than read. It is better to love than meditate. But since you are already trapped in the coils of mental convulsions, read the books of the saints, and God speaks by the perfect master.
Art is an act of love in likeness of itself. Spirit moulding matter into lovely form. God's compassion as avatar unto men, and men's devotion to avatar as God, by God, for devotion is by grace alone.
Once men sang purely in the work of their hands, in the speech of their mouths. They knew that Avatar and the perfect masters were the only God on the earth, and that the saints were doors to him. By God men lived, and his name wrought their works. They went not out to labour, nor sat down to meat, without song attending.
Art is an act of love, an imperishable statement cut in stone, uttered in tones and words, or through the movements of the dancer, and thus impressioned in the material of mind, continually contemporary and continuously accessible to one who loves. As act self-sufficient, useless for thy works of progress, O man. As statement, revealment of the beauty of God and proof of his eternal existence. Come, an end to equivocation and mud puddling.
Art is a statement in praise, his craft in us, fashioning us in likeness of himself. The perfect masters, his consummate works, the saints nearing completion, us, his beginnings. He is the only singer. He sings the creation, and his singing supports and destroys it.
There's a drum that's beating all around us.
Come follow me.
There's a drum that's beating all around us.
Come follow me.
It's been drumming for eternity.
Come follow me.
The drum is drumming who's coming. The drum is drumming who's coming. The drum is drumming who's coming. Follow me. What a game is our beloved playing. What a game is our beloved playing. Every particle of his creation is dancing only in his imagination. What a song is our beloved singing. What a song is our beloved singing. Creation is a manifestation of every note that he sings in his elation. Oh, and flags of victory fill the skies, and flags of victory fill the skies, and love is dancing before our eyes, and love is dancing before
So have I writ what love told me to write. And every line betrays my poverty of love, as a poor man asked his charity displays a single shilling to our sight. Yet I'm somewhat contented of my plight, in that rich love stooped down to ask of me, thus honouring me, in whom no others see worth, myself the least. Thus does love, with light and gentle grace, encourage on his way the least of us, taking each by the hand he's laboured with, using the same labour to raise him to still greater favour, even perhaps to love's own path, to stand in light when silence speaks its shining day.
Love it up.